to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents, as shown in their name, of course, to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Now, Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. Why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyeth, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. And in each weekly show, you hear the fascinating ways other people discovered the genius in themselves and what they were able to accomplish. At the end of tonight's show, you'll hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. All over the world, people have many, many diverse interests. And in that vein, people have asked about different occupations, different areas of life that have highly interested them. People want to know how highly successful people have managed to achieve their genius mindset and utilizing the gifts that are seen in their names. So how does someone express their creative talents? And how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everybody benefits? Our expert tonight is V Crum III, who has developed his genius in the area of teaching others how to make their first $1 million by being of service to others and raising their consciousness. Now, V Crum III is known for his live on-camera trainings, where he creates a breakthrough for business coaches and consultations by helping them find $50,000 or more in hidden revenues and then develop steps to put it into their bank account. Now, what I want to know is, how do you find $50,000 if there's never been $50,000 hidden in the first place? We're going to find that out tonight. So JV is host of the syndicated radio show and podcast, Conscious Millionaire, and the best-selling author of Conscious Millionaire, Grow Your Own Business by Making a Difference. Now, he's got bragging rights because he was named by Inc. magazine as one of the top 13 business shows to listen to in 2017. Now, JV made his early career as a professional student, as indicated by his multiple certifications in NLP and having graduate degrees in 3 different areas: law, business, and psychology. So JV has been featured on over 150 shows, including NPR, has written for the Huffingotn Post, and is featured in the upcoming movie, RiseUP the Movie. So welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, JV.
Well, Sharon, thank you so much for having me. And listen, you were a great guest on my show, so I want to thank you doubly because I'm really delighted to be here. And I want to say hello to everybody who's listening. And while this isn't my podcast, I'm going to say what I always do. I don't think there are any accidents, and I don't think you actually showed up for Sharon or JV. I think you showed up for yourself because you're ready right now, this moment, to take another step forward as a high performer. And I'm excited to have an opportunity to speak with Sharon because I know you're going to take that step during this hour.
Well, you're the host. I have so many questions for you. You're the host of Conscious Millionaire podcast. So what we all want to know is, what does consciousness mean to you?
I think it's a great question. And actually, I wrote my book, Conscious Millionaire, Grow Your Business by Making a Difference 7 times, which makes it kind of a spiritual endeavor, right? And about the 5th time, I realized I was using conscious in multiple ways. Now, that made sense to me, but it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I realized it might not make sense to the reader. So I sat down, outlined what I meant, and realized I was actually using conscious 3 different ways. And all 3 ways are what I mean, but it's important to know each of these ways because they really will impact how you use the word conscious and how you develop becoming more conscious. So the first one is awareness. Now, as you might think, awareness has many dimensions to it because awareness could mean spiritual awareness. Awareness could also mean, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, understanding what your customers want and how to best deliver it to them, understanding what a balance sheet is. That's also part of awareness. So awareness, I think of as many times the psychological aspect of being aware, being conscious of what is occurring right now in this moment. Now, there's a higher level to conscious, and I call this visionary conscious. Now, visionary conscious is, well, I think it's best demonstrated. You think about Einstein, you used him as an example. I would say that Einstein had a visionary consciousness about it. He was able to develop equations, be able to look into the future, be able to see physics in a way other people can't. But so did Beethoven when he was creating his great symphonies, and so did Steve Jobs when he was developing what I'm very happy he developed, the iPhone and the iPad, right? Because I have them both. And as I say, I never leave home without my American Express, but my iPhone is always there as well. And my iPad's likely to be with me. All of those are visionary or higher consciousness. And when we think of a visionary leader, I think that's what we mean by this. Someone who sees society or sees possibilities at a bigger level, in a more progressive future level that most people aren't. And then the third area is being socially conscious. And if you go back 20 years ago, I was living in Boulder and there was Whole Foods. It was the biggest Whole Foods in the world. But Whole Foods just 20 years ago was kind of the home of granola eaters, as I call it. And I was one of those, so I could make fun of that. But now it's as mainstream as could be. So is having clean water. So are nonprofits like Kiva. So being socially conscious as, let's say, an entrepreneur, people I work with, are developing solutions that also impact the world in a positive way and solve a problem. For example, how do we have electricity in the middle of Africa where there's no electrical plants? And finding that we can distribute lighting that has cells on it that is going to be able to store the energy during the day from the sun, which I've been to Africa. There's plenty of sun in Africa. And at night, light up a tent or light up a home. So that would be more the socially conscious way of looking at this. All three are valid ways of looking at being conscious. And depending on where you are on your journey, one might be more important to you than another.
You know, it's interesting to hear those ways of you defining consciousness, because it was one more way than I would have done it. I would have said both being aware and then, the spiritual consciousness and that next step, but not the third way of socially conscious. So that's really interesting that you would say that, because I look at that as emotional intelligence, but I can see where you would put it into consciousness. So this is the part of the show where we interpret a portion of our guest's name. And so I'd like to share how they can contact you prior to interpreting your name. So everybody, it is consciousmillionaire.com.
Is that because they may not like me after you interpret my name?
No, I always want to give out that.
Before I tell everybody, the deep, dark secrets of V Crum III. Yes, so the best way to get a hold of me, in fact, I'd love to give you a gift if you're a coach, consultant, entrepreneur. Just go to consciousmillionaire.com/high performer. And that'll take you to the high performer formula, which are the steps for you to become a true high performer so that you can make a bigger impact with your life and turn that impact into bigger profits. That's what I help coaches, consultants, business owners, and executives achieve.
Okay, so JV, we're not selling on this show. We're giving information. And so I'll let you give a chance for that toward the end. But right now, I want to do your name. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So now you go by your initials. So this is for everybody that goes by the initials. It's like all the rest of the stuff is more hidden and takes a longer time to come up and show up. But the part that everybody would know about you if they meet you in person is your absolutely charismatic sex appeal. And I can vouch for that because I've seen you in person quite a few times. So that's in those JV, and also your absolute brilliance. And then you bring to you, because what we have in our last name is always what we bring to us. And what you bring to you are people who like to be in charge, people who want the real truth. They want to have a good time, but they like to take everything to the extreme. So you get those people that want to really go for it and the gustos versus those people, if you're taking it to the extreme, that are going to do nothing. It's like an all or nothing. So those are the people that you bring to you. And what's interesting by you going by your initials is that you're more interested in those people that you bring to you than you are in promoting exactly who you are inside, okay, and sharing all that pieces of you. But you're absolutely brilliant. And in your name, it literally says you have the possibility to be a millionaire. And I'm going to share that at the end of the show where I see that in your name. Okay? So in 1 minute or less, JB, why is it so important to you that people who are conscious are the ones that are making the money?
Yeah, that's a great question. 1 minute or less, because people who are conscious are aware of something that's true about everyone, but they're aware of it for themselves, that they have a higher purpose, that they have a reason for being on this planet. And that reason is always outward directed. It's about making a positive impact. It's about making a difference. So if people who are making the big money are people who are driven to make a difference with their lives, that transforms the nature of commerce, and it transforms society in a very positive and uplifting way.
Well, we definitely have seen what it's like for people to have money that don't have consciousness. So I love the people that are conscious to have money and see how that shifts and changes the world.
Absolutely.
We need to take a break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network, and on the website, knowthename.com. After the break, we're going to find out what a big impact vision is and how it can assist you, along with how you find $50,000. Stay tuned.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is V Crum III, who is an expert on how to find hidden monies in a business and how to rapidly change from a 6-figure income to a 7-figure income. So, first of all, we want to know about finding that $50,000, but we also want to know, how do you get it to a 6-figure income for those people that aren't there? Okay.
So we got 2 questions there. Which one do you want me to go for first?
Finding $50,000. Because that's more money than some people have ever had at one time.
Yeah, and I think it's such a fabulous question. I'm glad you asked it, because I'm going to pull back the curtains. I'm going to tell you my process, and then you can go and try this out for yourself. It actually helps to have somebody looking on, but I want you to know the process. So the first thing I do, it's 3 steps. The first thing I do is I'm going to get a good picture from that person. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to ask them to tell me about their current business. Now, I work with people who already have a business started, so they need to have something started already. And I'm going to ask them a series of questions that are going to go somewhat like, just tell me, start wherever you want, and then what are some of the struggles you're having? What are the ways you feel held back? And I'm going to ask them, well, what do you enjoy most about what you do? And I'm going to get them to tell me, what do you think are your strongest skills that you have? I call this their wheelhouse. Now, I'm going to jump forward, usually 6 to 12 months, depends on the time frame that feels right. And I'm going to ask them, what would your ideal business be like, let's say in 6 months, end of the year? But I'm not going to just ask about the business. I'm going to say, how much money would you be making? But who would you be working with? What would the impact be that you're having with them? What would your life or lifestyle be? What would your ideal relationships be? Because this is a holistic experience. We who are entrepreneurs, it isn't just about business. It's about a whole life. So I want to get a good, clear picture. Now what we've developed is a gap. Now, most people who are coaching someone are going to deal with that gap in some way, but most of them aren't going to do this. I'm going to go back to their wheelhouse and find out, again, what are your top skills? And then I'm going to, from what they've told me about the business, I'm going to start looking for leverage points. Now, I can tell you, it's kind of like Houdini. In the first 5 minutes, I already have my answer usually because I've heard enough. But once I get all of that out, I'm going to be looking for specific leverage points that if they laser focus on those leverage points, they'll have the biggest, fastest impact on their business. And when I do that, there's always 50,000. In fact, Sharon, I have found as much as $500,000 in 20, 30 minutes working with somebody.
Okay, now I want to know for all of everybody that's out there that has no clue, what is a leverage point?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. So a leverage point is something that you can utilize. Think of a fulcrum. You've got a rock and you've got a long plank, and on one end, you're going to push it down and it's going to pick up this big, heavy rock. Okay, so in a way, that's what you're doing with leverage points in your business. You're looking for ways, think of that heavy rock, except now it's going to be lots of money. And you're looking for ways that you can say, I'll use a simple example. Send out a really great email to your entire list. That's a leverage point. You did it once. It went out to say 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people. And it's going to give an opportunity. And there might be, say there's 1,000 people, there might be 5 or 10 that reply and say, oh, I'm interested in that opportunity. That becomes a leverage point. Relationships that you have, they may have a big list. So as I'm listening, I know that, okay, this is a connector. And I'll go, who is it you know who has the biggest list of people that are like your audience that you want to reach? What kind of a deal could you do with them? In that one leverage point, you might find that entire 50,000. So you're looking for ways that you do something once, push it down one time, and it's going to have a multiplier effect in the result it creates.
Thank you for explaining that. You know, you had an idea when you were getting started, okay? So when you were starting at the very beginning, before you did your podcast and everything, what was your idea and how did you go about initiating it? So that if somebody was right at the beginning of building a business, what would you encourage them to do? So what did you learn from doing it? And what mistakes did you learn along the way?
Well, the first thing I did of on a big scale is that when I was 23, I was finishing my first graduate degree. And my father had a company that was basically bankrupt, and he asked me if I would come in and help him. And basically, he turned it over to me the first day, and I turned it around in a big way. So that we were, making 100,000 in profit by the third year, and I was made my first million, and I could buy a 4-story home and a Mercedes and all that. But I ended up selling that because I was totally unfulfilled. I learned how to make money, and I had a better lifestyle, but I was totally unfulfilled. So when I went out and Conscious Millionaire came to me one day in a hot tub, literally, I was looking down, looking at a brochure from the Green Festival, saw the word conscious, and in my forehead, that's how I tend to get a lot of my intuition visually and kinesthetically. I saw the phrase Conscious Millionaire, got a tingling into my spine. I said, I've been looking for something, and that's it. And so I immediately knew that I wanted to help people make money, but I didn't want to do this vapid, it's just all about the money, get the sports car and your life's going to be great. Because see, I had already done that. And I knew that my life wasn't great. I just was living better. I wanted to help people find true, lasting fulfillment in how they made their money. And that became the core concept. And it really came out of my own pain. And I think a lot of times, great entrepreneurial ideas come out of the entrepreneur's own life, their own journey, their own pain. And I knew how painful it was to, at 25, have this fabulous home and Mercedes and all this, but not feel fulfilled. I didn't want other people to have that experience. I wanted them to get the money, but only in ways that would fulfill them.
Okay. So how did you start that? So you had this idea. You want to help people and you want to help them get the money doing something that they love, right? So how did you go about creating your podcast? Is that what the first thing you tried when you were doing that to get to work with people?
No, actually, the first thing is that I started writing on the book. Now, I was in a position that I didn't need money, and I had a father who was sick, had Parkinson's. So I ended up going back, taking care of him and working on the book and going through several crises, medical crises of my own. Got mono twice, that kind of thing. And every time I would lay in bed, like mono, I laid in bed twice, 3 to 4 months. They actually became cathartic time periods for me. And I think the book and Conscious Millionaire grew from those experiences. So it wasn't a typical experience. But when things really started taking off, I had been a guest. I'd been at what was New Media Expo. It no longer exists in New York. And I met Jamie Tardy, now Jamie Masters, who has Eventual Millionaire. And she said, I'd love to interview you on my podcast. Well, I had no idea what this whole thing was, but I said, sure, sounds great. And then it came out, and I remember I was in Phoenix doing a training, and Jamie let me know, your podcast came out today. And within 3 days, I had all these phone calls, and it booked like $22,000 worth of coaching. And I went, wow, I think I'm going to be on some more podcasts. And so I was, and then I went to another New Media Expo that 2014, the first week of January. And it turned out I went there just to get booked on shows. But when I looked at the program that I hadn't seen before, every breakout had something on podcasting. And bang, I said, I'm doing a podcast. Now, it was July 8th of 2014, I did my first interview. And I kept telling my team, because I'm very intuitive, I said, this is going to be huge. I don't know why. I don't even know how, but I know I'm supposed to be doing this. So I really started the podcast, which at the same time my book was coming out. It's kind of ironic. My book became the #1 book on Amazon. It was #1 in 34 categories simultaneously. But the moment, here I'd spent 7 years on that book, but the moment I got on the microphone, I was home. And within 3 weeks of recording, before it ever went out, I did 60 shows before I put it out 2 months later. And then it launches a 5-day-a-week show, which was never my plan, and became 7 days. So I realized that being on a microphone was home for me. And what that's matured to is now, by the fall, I will have 7 different podcasts that are all interrelated through Conscious Millionaire. I'm in discussions with a major radio station that's national about doing a talk show on business. And I'm putting out the word because this is how things work, folks. And sometimes people think, oh, well, that person's crazy. No, I'm telling you, claim your dream. And I'm just telling everybody who might have an in-track, I'm going to do a TV show. I just tell them like that. And I want you to do the same thing if you're listening. Claim your dreams. Claim them as if they are already happening. Because at age 5, I claimed, growing up in a family that had no money at all, out in the country where there were 200 or 300 people, I claimed one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a millionaire. And at 25, I got there. Why? Because I never stopped believing that it had already occurred.
And that's what a lot of people have said, is that the difference between Stephen Covey and a lot of big names and authors and whatnot is that they're able to really visualize their future, and they visualize it in detail, and they stay so focused on it. But we need to take another break, so stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network, and on the website Know the Name. This show is dedicated to finding out how you can be conscious and still earn an excellent living. And after the break, we're going to find out why some entrepreneurs get wealthy and what causes so many others to fail. Stay tuned.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on SimulTV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is SimulTV. SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. SimulTV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have SimulTV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is V Crum III, who can be reached via his website, consciousmillionaire.com. Now, JV has been able to combine his love for raising his consciousness with his love for helping others go from six-figure incomes to seven-figure incomes. And we're talking to him now about what helped him get there, because you don't have to be a six-figure income person to start with some of the things he's telling us. Okay, so this is all about money and consciousness at the same time, living your dream. Okay, JV, you talk about a big impact vision in your books and on your blogs and on your shows. So what is it and why is it important?
Yeah, actually, it's a very critical piece. Remember when I said, own your dreams, claim them. So a big impact is, what is something that's going to, either in the individual client or in a lot of people, and ideally both, create a transformational change. Now, what is transformation? It's where you go from one state to another state. It isn't just solving a problem. It's going deeper, and it's solving the pain, but in a way that improves that person or improves that business or improves that organization, whoever your product or service is for, but literally moves them up the consciousness path so that they're more aware, more fulfilled, and that they have more insights about who or what they are and what they can accomplish. That's a true transformation, and that's a real impact. And then the secret is realizing what that impact is actually worth, the value, and that's value pricing. What's the real value to the person, the business, the organization that you're helping, and then pricing what you provide them at a piece of that. Usually I like a 5-to-1 ratio, so that whatever you're charging has at least a 5-fold benefit to the person who's buying it. And if you follow that formula, you will make money like hotcakes, because you're giving them what they really want, and you're doing it in such a fantastic way, they're going to tell everybody about the experience they had.
Now, do you ask people to tell people about you after they've had that experience with you, or do you just expect them to do it?
Yeah, great question. So I believe in, and I'll tell you, I have 3 coaches, and one of them said to me just a couple of weeks ago, he goes, pitch everyone, right? And I think you have to self-promote. You have to get past the point of feeling like, well, it's wrong to do that. No, it isn't. If you really believe in what you're doing, you want to tell everybody on the planet so that you can attract the people that you are here to help. And I believe we're all on a divine mission to help certain people. But we've got to let them know we're here, right? That's our job. So yes, I ask people to refer people to me. I ask people to tell others. I ask people for testimonials. I ask for all of that. And the people who want to provide, I don't twist their arms. I just ask for it. Here's what I found. About 80% of what I ask for, I get in life. That's a pretty good ratio. Even when I go to a hotel, I always say, do you have an upgrade room that you could provide me? And do you know, a lot of the time they provide me with a better room for no additional charge?
Well, that's super. I like to sign up ahead of time for that and say, if you have one, I'm taking it.
Yes, absolutely. I've gotten free bottles of wine, free parking, but yes, I very frequently get upgraded rooms at hotels because I ask. They're sitting there, and if you're nice, they'll give it to you.
Well, that's important right there. What a great tip. Okay, so now we want to know, why do some entrepreneurs reach their first million and continue to thrive, while so many people who attempt to work for themselves just don't make it, and they fail and they go back and try to find a job?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 answers. The first one is that the vast number of people I've met who never get to 100,000, which, by the way, is about 90% of coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, never get there and eventually go out of business in 5 to 6 years, are trying to do 10 things at one time. And that's not an exaggeration. There's no laser focus here. They're trying to sell 10 different products or services. Folks, I know it sounds like a lot when you don't have it, but it's still only 100,000, and all you need is one good product or service that is actually what your prospects, what your ideal customers want, and you get good at selling that. And then they learn to scale with no more than 2 or 3 products or services. You don't need more than that to get to $1 million. And they learn how to scale by going out there and marketing to reach more people, but they don't spend their time producing more and more and more products and services. They spend their time finding the right one and then developing it and marketing it over and over and over so they have a lot of people buy it.
Okay, so we're going to do an example because some of our learners in our names, it says we're either a kinesthetic learner, a visual learner, or an auditory learner. Okay,
Right.
So what you just gave us for the auditory learners is fabulous. But for all the visual learners and the kinesthetics learners, it's like, okay, wait, I need to have an example. So they're all familiar with my name business. All right.
Okay.
So if you were taking a name business and all I do is interpret names, so that's one product, right? And then you said, we're going to scale it. So we scale it by offering the book, okay? Other than a consultation, we scale it again by offering to teach it, right? What else, and does that qualify as your scaling, or what else do you mean by scaling if you're using that as an example?
Well, that is scaling. What I want to say is there's typically not a lot of money in the book, as we've all found out, right? I had the number one book on Amazon, but it doesn't translate into a lot of money. It translates into some fame and all that, so people know about you, and that's good, credibility. But you need to find a way, because I would suggest that you do some kind of a group program or a mastermind that tags off of the value that you give people, because you know how to give a lot of value. Look at your wheelhouse. Go, what are your 3 top skills? One's got to be hard, one's got to be soft, and the third one can be hard or soft. And how could you create a mastermind so that people are paying you $5,000, $10,000 a year, and you can then leverage that way, and then go after a market that maybe is executives or higher end million plus business owners, and you're going to give them advice on how they can grow their business, but you're going to give it from your perspective, and it's something they can't get anywhere else. I would focus like that as a way to leverage to get to your 7 figures.
Okay, so you talked about, I'm so appreciative of you doing this because this people can identify with. Okay, so in your answer, you told us about a hard product and a soft product. Would you please define that for our listeners?
Hard skill and a soft skill. So I work with a certain process I've created for how to build your business model. Usually it's how to revamp one that's not making a lot of money. And one of the things I notice is that a lot of people build a business, but it's not really built around their true skills. So they might have some kind of heartthrob, I want to help these kind of people. Well, that's nice, but they may not have realized that that's really more of a nonprofit because those people have no money to pay you. And they haven't really looked at their business, because the people who come to Conscious Millionaire, they're purpose-driven, they're heart-driven. But a lot of times they get their heart making all of their decisions rather than their head. You got to bring the two together. So this forces you to do that. So a hard skill would be like, you can look at somebody's financial statements and tell them where they're spending too much money. That's a hard skill. A soft skill is that you can help somebody lead their team. That's a soft skill. Most people have some hard and soft skills. I've found that the people who make the most money bring some of both to the table. So they've got at least one hard skill and at least one soft skill. And then they ask themselves, well, what problems could I solve with this? And then they go out and they kind of reverse engineer it and start asking, well, what are some niches where people have problems to which my wheelhouse is a natural solution? Now you've got a good match because you're in love with what you're doing and you're using your strengths. Now, as obvious as that sounds, I'm here to tell you that the vast majority of people who aren't making 100,000, which you asked about earlier, are actually not doing that at all.
Wow. Now, I heard from Clint Arthur in some of his trainings that he suggested that you price the skill that's the easiest for you to do at the highest prices, and the skill that's the hardest for you to do at lower prices. Why is that, do you think?
Well, okay, so I'm going to tag off of his process, and I'm going to tell you that the things that you do the best, probably very few people do that well, because we live in this bell curve kind of world. So maybe there's only 2 or 3% of the population that actually does what you do extremely well. So you want to take that and capitalize, leverage it. Go back to our earlier conversation. You want to leverage it in ways that you can make the most money by going out and finding people who have a big problem and pain underneath it, that your top skill that they don't have at all is the perfect solution for them. And that's a great way to build your business.
Great. Now, you created a 3-step formula for creating your wealth, and we want to hear about it at the end of this next break. This is our last break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and on knowthename.com. Now, after the break, we're going to also find out what V Crum III has in his name that has assisted him, and what it is in his name that says he can earn that $1 million that you just might have in your name as well. Stay tuned.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on SimulTV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is SimulTV. SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. SimulTV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have SimulTV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, RiseUP Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. RiseUP Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. RiseUP Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is V Crum III, whose website is consciousmillionaire.com, and he's taken his skills to a level where he's able to assist others in finding and creating more income, along with being more conscious while doing it. Okay, we talked about you created this 3-step formula, JV, for creating wealth. What are the steps? And how can listeners use them in their business or finances?
That's a great question. I'm going to give you the 3 steps, and then I'm going to go through each one very quickly because there are 3 focal points at each of the steps. So that becomes 3 times 3 or 9 pieces to this. So it's conscious, focused action. Now I'm going to do a quick question. What do you think? You're listening to this because when I speak to audiences, I frequently ask this question: which of these 3 parts are the most important? Is it the conscious part? Is it being focused? Or is it taking action? Well, what I find is most people say it's taking action, but I believe it's the conscious step. And this is the one that most entrepreneurs skip, because they want to just jump in. They're action takers. Let's get going. And that's one of the reasons they stay under 100,000 is they may be going all kinds of places that aren't going to actually make them money. So let's go. Can we go through the 3 steps and me tell them the 3 focal points on each one?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so on the first one, and you're going to see why this is so important. Let's say you want to be in a specific outcome for 30 days. That's what you're asking yourself. What's the best thing for me to be doing in my business over the next 30 days that'll move that needle forward, that'll help me make a bigger impact and make more money? So the first question you have to ask is the focal point of what is the top priority? Now, let's be clear. This is the top priority, and it means you're going to eliminate everything else. That gets very scary for most entrepreneurs. Oh my gosh, I want to be doing 10 things. Nope, you're going to do 1. And why are you choosing it over any other priority you could choose? So that exercise alone makes you get really clear about what's important. Now you're going to ask the second question is who do I need to have help me? This is really your resource question. What are all the resources? And then third, you're going to ask, how am I going to get to this outcome that's going to be very specific, measured, and it's going to occur in 30 days. And I'm going to ask you to choose 3 paths, to consider 3 different ways to get there. Maybe you're going to sell all product A. Maybe you're going to sell product A and have an upsell to product B. Or maybe it's actually going to be a service that you provide, and it's somebody else's service. You're going to do this through affiliate marketing. So you see, you're going to look at it from different angles so you get a better answer. Now, let's go to focus. Well, the first thing that usually comes to most people's minds when they think about focus is focusing their mind. And what's the best way to focus your mind? Ask yourself a question. But it turns out that focus isn't even the top way to focus. The top way to focus is the second way. That's your heart. And I like to express it this way. It's having your whole heart in it. Now, I coach high performers. So I coach people who want to find that next summit and they want to climb it. I'll tell you, I would rather coach someone with average skills that has their whole heart in it, because they're more likely to succeed than someone with top skills who couldn't care less if they get there. Because that person's never going to have their whole heart in it. And if you go to the Heart Math Institute, you'll find that the energy coming out of your heart is 5,000 times stronger than the energy coming out of your mind. And then the third area is physical. It's physical focus. It's your body being focused and ready to take action. And what does that mean? That's high performance health. Why you've got to have the sleep, eat the right foods, go to the gym. Your body's got to be ready to take action, or you're dead in the water, literally. You cannot achieve what you want to achieve if you've got 4 hours of good energy a day. So that's conscious, focused. But what about the action? Well, there are 3 parts to this. I'm going to give you exactly how you can achieve that goal, taking the least number of steps possible and getting there on a laser train. So here's what you're going to do. You can use a whiteboard, do your computer, put it on paper, however you like, but list out the major steps. And you might want to have your team work with you on this. What are the major steps that you want to take in order to get to this specific, measurable 30-day outcome? So write in all the steps you think you need to take. Now, I'm going to make a guaranteed promise to you here. The second part of this is that you're now going to go back and put them in the correct order. Don't worry about that the first time. And you're almost guaranteed to discover some steps you left out because they're in the back of your mind. But if you were going to explain this to somebody else, they've all got to be down. And then the third question you need to ask, it's your third focal point. For each one of these major steps, is there something that needs to happen inside or even outside the business? So inside, a team member needs to give you something before you can do step 4. Outside, someone else needs to. Maybe you need a graphic before you put the landing page. Or it could be that you're going to do a Valentine's special. Well, as you're listening to this right now, it probably wouldn't sell too well if you tried to do a Valentine's special right now. So you've got to be prepared, but you've got to wait to do the special when you're getting near February 14th. So that's your formula, conscious focus action. You can use it to achieve any outcome and any level of wealth that you want.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, in your book, The Conscious Millionaire, you talk about 7 habits. And just as Stephen Covey says there's 7 habits in highly effective people, you say that there's 7 habits in your book to raise your consciousness and raise your wealth. Would you mind choosing just one of those habits to develop? And which one would you start with? And why would you pick that one first?
That is probably the most fabulous question you could ask, Sharon, because I developed 6 habits and then I kept trading out one. I go, that's a great habit, but no, that's not really conscious millionaire, right? And then I found it. And it's habit number 4, and it is by far the most important habit. And it's always do the right thing. And if you think about building your business or building wealth, if you're always doing the right thing in how you treat your team and how you treat your customers, in the policies that you create, when something happens, and there's always going to be something that happens in business that's unexpected, you step back and you go, what's the right thing to do here? And I can guarantee you that if you always focus on doing the right thing, people will love you. You will have a reputation of gold because people will trust you because they'll know Sharon always does the right thing. That is by far the most important habit.
JV, as we're running out of time very quickly, if you could change one thing about people's understanding or how they look at the world, what would that be?
That they would understand that what they can accomplish is 1,000, 1,000,000 times more than what they've already accomplished, that they've only scratched the surface and that it really is in them. They really can do that.
Wow. Is there anything else that you're currently working on that you want to share with us?
Yes, I'm doing a couple of new podcasts. In fact, I'm recording on both of those this week. One's called The High Performance Business Owner and Leader, and you have to have $1 million plus business. Our first guest was actually a billionaire. I am having such a good time with that because I'm digging down into the layers of people's stories and the decisions they've made and the pivot points and the struggles and how they overcame those. And then Thursday, I start recording on my 6th podcast, which is called High Performance Expert Edition. And some of my early people that I'm interviewing are people like Kreskin, the amazing Kreskin. I'm interviewing Olympic athletes who've medaled in the Olympics. And I'm going to be discussing with them, what is the way they look at possibility? How do they organize their rituals to be a high performer? And, getting out of them the secrets of high performance and then applying that for business people so that they can use it in their business and their lives. So I'm having an amazingly good time with these incredible new podcasts that I'm developing.
It is wonderful. Remember, guys, it's www.consciousmillionaire.com. JV, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and join us tonight.
Well, Sharon, thank you for having me. And I just want to wish everybody who's listening the absolute best. I want you to know I believe in you, and I know that you can achieve whatever that big dream is. Go get it.
Okay, guys, be prepared to be surprised and pleased when you experience JV's work. His website, again, is consciousmillionaire.com. Now, JV's name excels at expanding the box versus seeing inside or outside the box, along with creating wealth. This is found in the letter in his first letter of his first name being a J. If your name starts with a J, you too have a natural proclivity to becoming wealthy. Now, you may lose it at first time, but while you're figuring out how to manage your money, you'll earn it right back again. Do you know where your genius lies? I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, host of the radio show Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right here on xzbn.net, radio and an X-Zone broadcast network, and on knowthename.com. Keep tuning in to hear the fascinating ways other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they're able to accomplish. In every upcoming show, you're going to hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. For all the days and times, Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, please go to xzbn.net and check out our broadcast schedule. And if you wish to learn how to read a person's name, you can attend an upcoming seminar and in 15 hours learn what took me 15 years to create. Or if you wish to know more about your own name and how you can discover your own innate genius, visit knowthename.com. This is Sharon Lynn Wyeth signing off.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com, or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.